Well, hello. This is Mike Hill with Money Matters with Hill Financial Group. Again, I'm Mike Hill, and here's my partner, Casey Harding. This is now podcast number 3. I don't know why I keep numbering. Maybe in podcast number 100, I'll stop doing that. We invite everybody back. Me and Casey were thinking about what we were going to do for the topic of this podcast, and it's with 2 teenage daughters, 3 sisters, 6 nieces, and 1 nephew, and it being just about a month and a half removed from Christmas, and Casey having 2 daughters.
Yeah.
We thought, hey, let's come up with a podcast about how to take care of your debt. So
everyone's favorite.
Anyway, so I think it's it's just a credit card. Who has to pay that off? No big deal. Well, eventually, unless you're borrowing from guys named Vincent and they wear all black or velvet sweatpants coming to your front door, we got some ways where you won't get called and things like that. So one thing that me and Casey both have in common, and I believe in a lot of his principles, that he talks about on his radio show, is Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
And me and Casey both taught the Dave Ramsey class. If you're not familiar with Dave Ramsey, please Google him, look him up. He's everywhere. He has a show on every day on the radio, or even does some podcast. But he's very good at giving you practical ways to spend down debt. So one of the things we want to do is steal a little bit from his thoughts here. But he has something called the snowball effect of paying down debt. And before Casey kind of goes over, because he's taught the class a lot sooner than me, it's a long time ago when I taught, we're going to take the time right now to put up the slide. So if you wanted to screenshot this or print this off, feel free to do so. You can follow along at home. So right now, and then if you have that time, you can go ahead. Anyway, Casey, so the debt snowball, can you kind of describe what the snowball effect is on paying down debt?
Yeah, so it's just taking that debt with the highest interest and paying that one off. No, excuse me, sorry. We want to take the balance with the lowest balance and pay that one off first. So it gets you to pay one off quickly, you get some success, you feel the excitement of that and build the momentum, and then you take that payment that you would have been paying on that first one, and then you kick that same amount towards the next next smallest debt amount. So and then you get that one paid off, and then you take both of those and you keep rolling it into your next smallest debt amount, and it creates this snowball effect. You start achieving, you start building more momentum, and you get all of that debt paid off quickly behind you, so that then you can start saving and investing for your future.
So it's kind of like another thing that we all maybe need to do after the holidays is maybe go on a diet, or at least a lot of us do.
A spending diet.
Yeah, spending diet. But I'm talking, do I need as much cheesecake as I've been doing? So, but when you go on a diet, I've always heard that if you put on there, my goal is to lose 50 pounds. Sometimes that could be overwhelming. 20 pounds could be overwhelming. But if you tell yourself, okay, my goal is to lose a pound a week, is it kind of the same?
That's exactly right. It's just getting that into a bite-sized chunk where I can get there quickly, and feel that success and that excitement of getting that paid off, and then we're just keeping that process rolling on to the next smallest debt amount.
Okay, so I have debt for a reason, Casey. You're asking me to not only go into more debt, but to pay on that debt. Where am I going to get this money? How am I supposed to come up with this new money, if you will, to pay off this debt? What if somebody that they come to you, I just don't have the money to pay down the debt? What would be your first thing you would tell them? It's going to be some hard lessons.
Yeah, it's some hard conversations, but it all starts with the budget. You've got to find out what's the income coming in, and then what are my bills, what are the things that I have obligations toward, and making sure that those are itemized, that they're clear, that we know how much you're spending and where you're spending, and where are things that you may need to cut out for a period of time so we can free up some of your income to start tackling that debt. A budget is key.
But I know. A lot of us would rather, no offense to the dentist that may be watching this, have a root canal than go through a budget with their spouse. Oh, so much fun. What do you mean? Amazon comes to my door every other day, so we'll just leave that without being said. I should have invested in a cardboard box company, quite frankly. But, one of the things that I face when I get with clients is they retire. We always put a retirement income plan together, as you know. And you know this, you'll come in there and they'll go, okay, based on what you wrote down, it looks like y'all are spending about $7,000 a month. It's always the husband. Always. Oh, we don't spend that much. There's no way we spend $7,000 a month. Mike, that's almost $2,000 a week. There's no way. And the wife is always the one sitting there, that's actually kind of low. So I always tell clients to look at their checking account, look at what their balance was on November 1st versus what came in on November 30th. With a budget throughout the entire part of your life is so important. And it also gives couples, I love it for almost relationship advice, to be honest with you. You'll have so much less fights about money when you know where the money is being allocated. I'm also a big believer, not to change the subject, but I'm also a big believer on, you have a joint account where you pay all the bills, you contribute to that, both of you as a married couple. And then you have your fun account, which is your vacation. Some couples, it just comes from the husband's income. They both want to put in it. However, that's up to y'all. And then you have separate accounts. It's kind of your allowance that is paid out of that joint account. Well, she gets $2,000 a month. I get $1,000 because she's prettier than me and she can do all the pretty things, But I definitely like that approach. You won't have as many fights about financials because now he gets his little allowance. He wants to go buy that hunting jacket or new gun. If it was in his budget, I saw that it didn't come out of the joint. She wants to go get a pedicure once, whatever. I'm not trying to be sexist. My house had 2 daughters. She can, and I'm not going to sit here and say, why don't you get that? Because it's budget and it's allocated. Then together you have money going towards your debt from that joint account, and you'll be okay. What are some of the things in a debt snowball that are going to be on the chart, but kind of some things of advice that the great Dave Ramsey is?
Yeah, well, Dave Ramsey's got these great baby steps. It's, there's 7 of them. And the biggest thing is baby step 1 is $1,000 emergency fund. So getting to where you just have $1,000 sitting in a savings account that's separate from your checking. That's in case of emergencies, car breaks down, whatever it might be. We've got that $1,000 to go ahead and pay for that emergency. Once you've got that, then we are paying off the debt and using that snowball method that I mentioned earlier. So we're finding that debt with the smallest balance, a credit card, college tuition, whatever it is, and we're going to start tackling that smallest one first, and then moving on until we've got all of our debt completely paid off. And then the next step 3 is 3 to 6 months of expenses and savings. So once all that credit card's done, then we're on to baby step 3, and we're getting 3 to 6 months of our expenses into savings. So that's baby steps 1 through 3. And once we're at that place, we are then moving on to baby step 4, which is where I think we really come alongside and help people, is investing 15% of your tax into tax favored accounts. So that's where we really can come in and come alongside people to help them in figuring out, maximizing your 401k with your employer, Roth IRA contributions, outside of retirement accounts. Do we need an extra investment account? Just getting to that 15% going towards retirement. That's baby step 4. Once that's done, then we're looking at baby step 5, which is funding college for your kids. And if we're have the margin in our budget to do that. Once that's done, then we're going on to paying off the home early and trying to get that accomplished. And then once baby steps 1 through 6 are done, then we're on to baby step 7, and we're building wealth and giving a bunch away, which is what we love to see for our clients, is getting to that place where we're financially free. We've got enough income coming in to where we can just be generous and bless others.
I think and one of the things that's kind of backwards, and it's hard for all of us parents, we love our kids more than life itself. and Dave Ramsey's really clear on this, and I agree with him. It's tough because I got daughters, I got weddings and college and all that to look. Both of them are in college now, the future weddings and all the stuff. But it's most people. A lot of people will try to fund a 529 plan or a college savings account before they even put money into their own retirement. And Dave Ramsey has a good philosophy on that. He's like, if you don't have a retirement, you may have your kids' college paid for, but you're going to be so broke in retirement, the money that you would have put in retirement, they're going to have to pay you back anyway to help you when you're retired. And he's right. Yeah. And you have longevity on your side, where if the kid's zero, you only got 18 years of growth in that 529 account, or a retirement account, 30 and 40, you might have 30 years of growth in that account to help you with retirement. So, and one of the things that I wish, my kids are 19 and 22, I wish this was available to me. And I hope anybody that's young watching this, everybody's young to me, under 50 now, but if you have young kids, they just passed this last year, I believe, the 529 plan, because you have young daughters. Yeah. Where if you've had a 529 plan for 15 years and you don't use it for college, you can convert it to a Roth IRA for your child's retirement. I mean, that's a easy tax-free way for your child to inherit $1 million, and that's only if you put $2,000 or $3,000 in. I'm not sure about the numbers, but let's just say you put in $5,000 a year. I'm telling you, you're going to have a pretty sizable Roth IRA by the time that child is 60 years old. So I love that they just passed that. It's a way for people that you are rewarded if you got scholarships. You are rewarded if your child inherited money from grandparents, whatever, to pay for college. You can turn the 529 plan now into a Roth IRA. So
for that beneficiary. Yeah.
So I think I don't know about you, Casey. I'll talk about debt.
The different types of debt.
I get
loans, mortgages, credit cards.
Credit cards, I get it. Credit cards, they help you with your credit score. But this is my reasoning, and it's simple, and it may be wrong, but this is my reason for paying on credit cards first. I want the smallest balance. Credit cards, the minute you buy that item, 99% of the time, depreciates. I bought a couch for $1,000. I put it on a credit card. I moved it into my house. Try selling that couch for $1,000. So now I'm paying credit interest on something that was $1,000 yesterday, and today is $800. And then next day, in a week, it's worth $700. Maybe next year it's only worth $500 because you spilled something on it. And that's just one example. You're paying these high interest rates on depreciating assets. Credit cards should be just so I can get it today. I don't feel like carrying cash in it. You can pay off the balance at the end of the month. That's all you should use it for, to keep your credit score intact. That's my opinion. Hard to do, I get it. But that's how your mentality should be on a credit card. That's why banks love debit cards, because they get the same fee on a debit card as they do a credit card. They don't care what you do, just as long as you keep doing that little magnetic strip or your Apple Pay or whatever, they get their little fee. So Casey, I didn't know if you had the same idea. We've never really talked about credit cards, but I get clients. I know I need to get these credit cards paid off. I always try to remind them, just think of whatever balance you have on that credit card. Yeah. Whatever's on there isn't worth what's on there.
Yeah.
So that should give you a little incentive to get that thing paid off, because you're giving the bank more money than what the asset is worth.
Right. No, I mean, if you're buying something that you can't just pull that money out of your bank account and pay for it yesterday, you probably need to wait and not get it. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to have a credit card, you've got to make sure that you're disciplined enough to pay it off.
And know that you may see, you got little things that are bullet points here. We don't talk before. We want everything to be organic. Just kind of give me a little bit behind the curtain. I haven't asked Casey this. What do you think about mortgage debt? Do you think mortgage debt is good? Do you think it's bad? What is your feelings on mortgage debt for clients?
Well, I mean, we are coming out of a season where most people in the marketplace who have a house have probably a 3, maybe at that most 4%, mortgage if they bought their house more than 2 years ago. Because of what so if that is where you're at and you have a low interest on your mortgage, I would say you're better off putting that money towards an investment account, because most likely you're going to be able, there is risk involved, but there are options in the market that we're going to be able to earn more than what you would be paying off that debt early. Now that we're getting into a different season where people are having mortgages that are 7, 6, high sixes, then it's more of a conversation trying to figure out, when do we refinance? Getting that mortgage, interest paid off, or getting that interest payment down. If they can't do that, then we're trying to take a look at, well, maybe it is, we need to go ahead and pay that mortgage off. It really has to do with what is the interest rate that you're paying, and then what makes the most sense with your budget.
I mean, I would be, I'm going to get, we did this last time, maybe I did this every time. Here's your gold nugget. If you were waiting for this question, I always do it at the end, so you have to watch it. Here's your gold nugget tip. This is from personal. This is something that I've read. This is something I've done personally. It's just my philosophy. I get it, 7%. Even right now, some commercial loans are 8%. I get it. Mortgage debt, some of it's really high right now. But on investment property, I still like it. Because if I'm able to buy, let's just be easy. Good luck in Midlothian, $100,000 place and put $20,000. Yeah, I know you can't even get lost for that. But I'm an Aggie. I got to keep mathing. So you buy a $100,000 place, you put $20,000 down. You have to get a loan for $8,000. Your loan payment, maybe $6,000 a month. You add taxes, you're looking at maybe $1,000 a month. If your rent just covers that, you break even. But that everybody always, I get this, and it's just people think this way. Well, that I bought that $100,000 house. It's now worth $120,000. What percentage should I make? I get this all the time. I made 20%. No, you didn't. You put $20,000 down. The rest was the bank money. When you sold the house, you made $20,000. You made 100%. That's what good leverage does. Now, I'm not a realtor. I'm not a mortgage. But I do think real estate is something you should have in your portfolio. I have it personally. I love investment real estate for that reason. Well, because here's the other thing that people, well, Mike, okay, my $100,000 is now worth $300,000, and yeah, the mortgage is paid off finally. But now if I sell, I got to pay $200,000 in capital gains. Yes, maybe. Or you go to the bank, get a loan on that $300,000 in equity, maybe pull $200,000 out. It's a loan, so guess what? It's tax free. You take that $200,000, live on that. Well, Mike, I don't know. Now I owe money to the bank. Put a renter in there. You still have a renter. Have the renter pay the mortgage, but now you just pull $200,000 in profit out tax free. When you die, the house gets stepped up as a $300,000 cost basis to the kids. They're not going to pay any taxes on it. So this is what the rich do, guys. They do this with their investments.
Yeah.
Instead of selling all their stocks, they may do a finance. They may finance against their stocks that have big capital gains or on their house, because when you finance something, you don't pay taxes on the money that you pull out. So that is something that I can't stress enough. I know we're about debt, but so many people, I don't know, I get it. Residential, if it's a house you live in, we're at the lowest rate we can, and we need to try to pay it off as quick as we can, because that is a roof over your head. It's not an investment at that point when you retire. But investment-wise, yes, it's illiquid, but real estate, in my opinion, is still one of the best investments you can have because of leverage. So, anyway, I didn't mean to go off into a tangent there, but
there's some unique strategies.
There's your gold nugget that has nothing to do with debt. But anyway, sometimes there's good debt, sometimes there's bad. You have some people in my family that's all good debt. Anyway, so I think that'll wrap up our podcast for today. I think we hopefully gave you some information with the Dave Ramsey Snowball, some information on the mortgage debt. We have a lot of other tidbits coming. Casey, any final thoughts for this week coming up?
Yeah, no, I just had one real life example of a client left me a voicemail and said, hey, I'd done some planning with them last year. I'd recommended that they, they had investment property and they had their house they were living in. They sold the house they were living in to move into their rental, and they asked if they should pay it off versus taking the funds and maybe investing some of that. I had recommended not to pay off the one that they were living in. Because it was significantly lower, mortgage payment. And the interest rate there was like super low interest. They sent me a voicemail and said, "Hey, we're listening to you from now on because we've seen how your investments have done for us in our Roth IRAs and other things." And so those just real life examples of we want to put their interests above ours, and sometimes they come up with a solution that may not be the best for them, even though they think it is, and then we kind of get down the road and they realize, hey, our advisors are pretty smart. So not that we're trying to.
Oh yeah, you're great.
But yeah, I mean, just it's good to get that feedback from our clients. It makes us feel good. We want to know that what the advice that we're giving, that they're seeing the results.
And I think, and we'll wrap it up. I think Casey hit upon a good part, was that, again, our philosophy, and we've said this since day one, is if you do everything you can for the people sitting next to you, across from you, that's in your office, clients, doesn't matter. If you do everything you can, you'll be blessed later. I don't sell real estate. I don't, do real estate, but I think it is a good part of your portfolio. I'll refer you to people that do real estate, and I get nothing from it as far as dollar-wise or commission or any kind of kickback. It's just, I think if it's sometimes in the client's best interest to have some rental properties, I will tell them that. But if there's times where they only have $300,000 and they want to put $200,000 in a rental property, I will tell them you probably should. But I think that's the difference, and it sounds like bragging. I'm really proud of us. We both have had many instances where we'll talk about investments that have nothing to do with us that we even manage. It's just, if it's a part of your portfolio, we're going to sit down with you and see how it fits. So until next week, have a blessed week. And from Casey and Mike Hill with Money Matters of Hill Financial Group, thank you for listening to the podcast.
Thanks, everyone.